Hello, hello. I wanted to make everybody a video that will show you how to analyze a relatively small sample of data um, and plot a graph using those data with Google Sheets. So this is actually practice problem number 4, one of the problems that is up on Classroom, and you actually may have done in class as your practice problem. I'm just using it as an example. So if you haven't had a chance to look at this problem and just to familiarize yourself with it, please go ahead and read what's up in yellow. You can pause the video and do that at your leisure. And then what we'll do is calculate the average and the standard deviation for each of these two groups of data, each of these two classes. We'll plot a graph and we'll make a claim using what we see on the graph. So let's go ahead and start with the calculations, and I'm going to use spreadsheet formulas to do the calculations for me. So I'll start with the equals sign because I want the average. This first group, the Monday, Wednesday, Friday group. Sheets is kind of trying to read my mind and predicting what it is that I want to hit the average of, and indeed that is what I want to hit the average of. So I can press enter, and then I can do the same thing down below, press equal, type the word average, press enter. Again, to make the prediction of what it thinks I want to take the average of. That is what I want, so I can press enter again, and I have my two average values. I can do something similar for the standard deviation. Unfortunately, I can't type the word standard deviation like I can type the word average. There's an abbreviation that Sheets uses called STDEV, but it will tell you as you do that that is the standard deviation formula. Okay, so I can press enter again. I'm going to select the data this time that I want to take the standard deviation for. Please note that I'm not including the average in as a measurement. Press enter. There's my standard deviation. Same thing down below, STDEV, enter. This time it's making a prediction. That prediction looks good. Press enter, and I have the standard deviation for the second group of the Tuesday, Thursday class. All right, so let's go ahead and try to plot a graph, plot the average for each of these two classes. Now, usually what works is if you come in here and highlight the groups that you want to plot and the value that you want to plot. Okay, hopefully you can see that in the highlight. Press the chart button up top, the insert chart button. It'll generate a chart. Now, I can tell you that this is not the chart that we want. And we know that it's not correct because it's not plotting the class average. Well, I guess actually it is over here on the far right, but it's also plotting the student averages. And we don't want that. So let's go ahead and just get rid of this. I'm going to show you a little shortcut that will make your life a little bit easier when we're creating a chart like this. So I'm going to delete that chart. And to make our lives a little bit simpler, I'm going to go ahead and select my classes, my two classes. And I'm going to copy and paste that information over to the side. I'm going to do the same just for the averages. So I'm going to group those values together. Now notice when I did that, it calculated a new average, which I definitely don't want. Let's go ahead and fix that. And just take the average of what I do want. That looks better. Same thing over here. That is not the average that I want. Over here, select data that I do want. That looks better. Now they match, 77, 74, 77, 74. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and select these cells of information, press insert chart again. This looks much better. Now, again, a caveat to what it is that we're trying to do. Right now, the spreadsheet program thinks that these two groups of data belong to the same series. And I know that because they're both in blue. In fact, if I were to go over here to customize and try to set up my error bars under series, it's only going to let me select average. And I know I've got two groups there, so something isn't right. So an easy way to fix that is to go back to setup, move down to the bottom and look for the option that says switch rows and columns and click that checkbox. Now my two bars are in two different colors, and each of those bars represents the two different classes, the Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or the Tuesday, Thursday class that I'm trying to compare to one another. That looks good. Go over to Customize again. Now go to Series. Notice I have a new option. I have Apply to All Series, but if I click on that, I also have the two groups that I'm trying to compare to each other. So I'm going to go ahead and click Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Scroll down, click on my error bar option, click Constant, and it looks like if I go over here, my standard deviation was 25 for my Monday, Wednesday, Friday group. I can do the same process for the Tuesday, Thursday group, but this time it looks like I've got an error bar value of 24. And now, if I go over to my graph, it looks like everything looks like it should. I can clean up the labels later if I want to, but I'm not going to belabor that right now for you folks. Here's the main takeaway, right? As we look at what it is that we're trying to do here at the bottom, right? By answering the question, is there a statistically significant difference in the means between these two sections of the class? Well, the answer would be no. How do we know? Well, the averages are different. There's no doubt about that. But the error bars, in this case, the error bars that represent the standard deviation for each of these two groups, they overlap one another. And as a consequence, even though the means are different, there's too much variability in those two samples to conclude that the means themselves are statistically significantly different from one another. Variability in those two groups is still playing a meaningful role in such a way that I can't conclude that the classes are different, and that it's the variability that exists within each of those two classes that is actually impacting the difference in the means that were calculated. So that was a lot of me talking. I hope this helps as you make more graphs for this class on your own. You can always come back to this video, but please note that this is an area of growth for just about every single one of you. Nobody expects you to be experts from day one. Keep practicing and you will get better.